Hello, this video is about our network security project, attribute-based access control for open team use and attribute-based encryption. And for this video, we're going to directly jump to our final result, the double authentication with the activation via attribute-based encryption. Here we have three working keys: a client, a within server, and an application server. As you can see here, the application server cannot directly talk to the client. So if we want the client to talk to the application server, we are going to establish a tunnel between the client and the weekend server, so that we can use the weekend server as a gateway to the application server. For establishing the tunnel between the client and weekend server, we have created a double authentication protocol like this. So firstly, the weekend server will waiting for startup message from the client. Then the server will generate a random sequence announce. We can call it a server announce. Then the server will encrypt this server announce with access control policy and send out the encrypted message back to the client. Then, if the client satisfies the access control policy, you will be able to learn the secret, run the server announce. Then the client will generate another random announce, the client announce, and we encrypt both the client announce and the server announce in the server policy and send that encrypted message to the server. If the server satisfies the server policy, we will be able to decrypt the message and get both return the server policy and that's client's policy. Then the server will compare the returned server policy with the previously generated original server policy. If they are the same, continue. Otherwise, they will be aborted immediately. In this way, you can save some resources to prevent the US attack. And at this time, the, both client and server get the server nodes and the client nodes, and they will use them to generate the key for them to establish the tunnel. Let's see the program. Firstly, we start so the first connection from the right. We start our client. Here's the message. Client sends hello to the server, and server got the message. So it generates an announce and it is specified to enter the access control policy of the encryption. And I think it's similar as employee. And the client got the message and successfully decrypted since it satisfies the policy. Now we're going to enter the server policy. Let's make it simple for this server. And the server is able to decrypt the message since it satisfies the position server, and it verifies that the returned server nonce is the same as the original server nonce. So it continues and generate key. The client side also generates the same key. And the terminal is successfully established. And let's check the communication between the client and the application server. now这个小师傅会复杂。If we modify the scenario a little bit, that's using the same access control policy, but we're going to change our client to that guy. This client key just like a certification for the client. So if we change that, we change that too. That's the initial. Now we're going to enter the same access control policy, which is employee. This time it fails. Since the backup does not satisfy the policy, it should be an employee. And if we change the client back to that employee client, however, we modify the access control policy to, for example, manager. It's in still phase, it's also phase. Is the client, this client which should satisfy employee, it will not satisfy the process manager, so it fails. It's similar for the server policy. Using the same server and the same client. And now this time, we're going to change the server policy to, for example, server 2. It fails. Since the server does not satisfy the server policy. But if we change the server to server 2, and it will start a connection. We're still using the server policy as server 2, as we can imagine. We will successfully establish return notice. The server 2 will satisfy the server policy of server 2. And of course, this time the client